And nope, I'll keep that going. All right. All right. Jeff Gates. And I've got his books here. You can get his book. You can get his book. Make a donation. Make a donation and I'll ship it to you. Need a little bit more, over 20 bucks for that one. Send me 30. That, okay, we're recording now. And I am Clay Douglas. I am the Free American. We're back, second half. Hello, David. How are you? I can't hear you, David. I can't hear you on this line. If you, I can't hear you on this line. You better either get a better line or call me on my regular phone, and I can bring you up on the conference call. All right. Back to Jeff Gates. Jeff says, Americans know that something fundamental is amiss. They sense rightly they are being misled no matter which political party does the misleading. A long misinformed public lacks the tools to grasp how they are being deceived. Without these tools, Americans will continue to be frustrated at being played for the fool. When the con is clearly seen, the mark, and that's us, will see that all roads lead to the same duplicitous force, Israel and its operatives. The secret to Israel's force multiplier in the U.S. is its use of agents, assets, and sayanim, Hebrew for volunteers. When Israeli-American Jonathan Pollard was arrested for spying in 1986, Israel assured us that he was not an Israeli agent, but part of a rogue operation. That was a lie. Only 12 years later did Tel Aviv concede he was an Israeli spy the entire time he was stealing U.S. military secrets, that espionage by a purported ally damaged our national security more than any operation in the U.S. In short, Israel played us for the fool. From 1981 to 1986, the U.S. intelligence analysts provided Israel with 360 cubic feet of classified military documents on Soviet arms shipments, Pakistani nuclear weapons, Libyan air defense systems, and other intelligence sought by Tel Aviv to advance its geopolitical agenda. Agents differ from assets and sayanim. Agents request the requisite mental state to be convicted of treason, a capital crime. Under U.S. law, that internal state is what distinguishes premeditated murder from a lesser crime such as involuntary manslaughter, though there there's a death in either case. The legal liabilities are different, and for a reason. Intent is the factor that determines personal culpability. The distinction traces its roots to a widely shared belief in free will as a key component that distinguishes humans from animals. Agents operate with premeditation and extreme malice, or what the law describes as an evil mind. Though that describes the mental state of Jonathan Pollard, Israeli leaders assured us otherwise. Another example of an evil mind is the U.S. was played for the fool and played for the fool again and again. Pollard took from his office more than 1 million documents for copying by his Israeli handlers. When those classified materials were transferred to the Soviets, reportedly in exchange for the immigration of Russian Jews, the spy operation shifted the entire dynamics of the Cold War. To put a price tag on this espionage, imagine $20 trillion in U.S. Cold War defense outlays from 1948 to 1989 in 2010 dollars. The bulk of that investment in national security was negated by a spy working for a nation that pretended throughout to be a U.S. ally. Pollard was sentenced to life in prison. Israel suffered no consequences. None. Zero. Nada. Not then, not now. Then, as now, we were played for the fool. At trial, Pollard claimed he wasn't stealing from the U.S. He was stealing secrets for Israel, with whom the U.S. has long had a special relationship. He thought we should have shared our military secrets with them. That's chutzpah. It also confirms that we were played for the fool. Looking back, it's easy to see how seamlessly we segued from a global Cold War to a global war on terrorism. And remember what I've always told you, folks: war on terror is war against anyone who doesn't want to go along with one world government of the banksters, by the banksters, and for the banksters, and the banksters set up the whole colony of Israel for a safe country. In retrospect, the false intelligence used to induce our invasion of Iraq was traceable to Israelis, pro-Israelis, or Israeli assets such as John Songbird McCain. Even while in prison, Pollard's iconic status among Israelis played a strategic role. Was it just coincident that Tel Aviv announced a $1 million grant to their master spy less than 2 weeks before 9/11? Is that how Israel signaled its operatives in the U.S.? Did that grant have any relationship to the dancing Israelis who were found filming and celebrating that mass murder as both jets smashed into the World Trade Center? Absent that provocation, now we find ourselves at war in the Middle East. Surely no one still believes that American interests are being advanced in a quagmire that has now become the longest war in U.S. history. I know what America is, Benjamin Netanyahu told a group of Israelis in 2001. Apparently, not knowing his words were being recorded, America is a thing you can move very easily, move it in the right direction. Let's face it, the U.S. was played for the fool. With oversight by Israeli case officers, Katsas, Israeli operations preceding the U.S. by buying agents, assets, and volunteers. The Sinayim are shielded from conventional legal culpabilities to being told that only enough to perform their narrow role. Though their help may be essential to the success of an Israeli operation, these volunteers could pass a polygraph test because their recruiters ensure they remain ignorant of the overall goals of an operation. In other words, a scion can operate as an accomplice but cannot be legally liable due to the lack of prerequisite intent regarding the broader goals, of which they are purposely kept ignorant. Does the intentional ignorance absolve them of liability under the U.S. law? So far, yes. Much like military reservists, the Sinayim are activated when needed to support an operation. By agreeing to be available to help Israel, they provide a on-call undercover corps and force multiplier that can be deployed on short notice. How are the Sinayim called to action? To date, there's been no attempt by U.S. officials to clarify that key point that may explain why Pollard was again in the news July 13th with a high-profile Israeli recommendation commemoration of his 9,000th day of incarceration. To show solidarity with the Israeli-American traitor, the lights encircling Jerusalem were darkened until while an appeal was projected on the walls of the old city, urging that President Obama order Pollard's release from federal prison. Pollard has long been a rallying cry for Jewish nationalists, Zionist extremists, and the ultra-Orthodox ideologues. In short, just the sort of people who would be likely to recruits as Sinayim. The news coverage given this day of adornment may explain how Israel signals its helpers that an operation is underway and needs of their help. Our pro-Israelis once again playing America for the fool. Well, when not aiding an ongoing operation, Sinayim gather and report intelligence useful to Israel. The volunteer corps is deeply embedded in legislative bodies, particularly in the U.S. Thus far, the Israeli operation is advanced with legal impunity as the Israeli lobby, though acting as a foreign agent, continues even now to pose as a domestic operation. Morris Amite, executive director of the American-Israeli Public Affairs Committee, explains how this invisible cadre aids the Israeli lobby in advancing its geopolitical agenda. There are a lot of guys at the working level up here on Capitol Hill who happen to be Jewish, who are willing to look at certain issues in terms of their Jewishness, though all these guys who are in a position to make the decision in these areas for the senators, you can get an awful lot of done just at the staff level. What they are not told, what the Sayanim are not told by their Katsas, is that an Israeli operation may endanger not only Israel, but the broader Jewish community when these operations are linked to extremism, terrorism, organized crime, espionage, and deception. Though Sinayim may be 100% Jewish, and Aldovsky reports, and by way of deception, the Mossad does not seem to care how devastating it could be to the status of the Jewish people of the diaspora if it was known. The answer you get is, so what's the worst could happen to those Jews? They'd all come to Israel. Great. The Mossad is the Intelligence Foreign Operations Directorate for Israel. Assets are people profiled in sufficient depth they can be relied upon to perform consistent with their profile. Such people typically lack the state of mind required for the criminal culpability because they lack the prerequisite intent to commit a crime. Nevertheless, assets are critical to the success of the Israeli operations in the U.S. They help simply by pursuing their profiled personal needs, typically for recognition, influence, sex, drugs, or the greatest drug of all, ideology. Thus, the mission-critical task fulfilled by these political assets that the Israeli lobby produces for long-term service to Congress while appearing to represent their U.S. constituents. That is happening right now. You've got the Jew that Lieberman pretty much declaring war on Iran right now. Folks, what I am talking about and what I am trying to do here by informing you of this, by passing on the information that Jeff Gates has documented so well in his book, is that we are at a war and the enemy is posing as our friend. You know, it kind of brings up again the question I've asked you: who exactly won the Cold War if we've got communism, every plank on Communist Manifesto intact here right now? Put a profiled asset in a pre-staged time, place, and circumstance over which the Israeli lobby can exert considerable influence, and Israeli PSYOP specialists can be confident within an acceptable range of probability the asset will act consistently with his or her profile. Democrat or Republican is irrelevant. The strategic point remains the same: to ensure that the lawmakers perform consistent with Israel's interest with the Help of McCain-Feingold campaign finance reform. The Israeli lobby attained virtual control over the U.S. Congress, and that should be evident to you that 93 of your congressmen voted for the NDAA, voted for martial law, voted to suspend posse comitatus, and basically voted to allow the president to incarcerate or kill you at any time. This is what they have tried to do to me. And that's why, folks, I am still fighting here. It's not because I'm getting rich off all these books that I'm selling. It's because I'm trying to reach people. I'm trying to warn you. I saw Waco as the forerunner for this. And they consistently fill us up. They keep killing people. They keep trying to demonize the patriots, the veterans, anybody that might stand against them. And it's exactly what I've told you. They go after three classes of people in order. They go after the farmers first, they go after the intelligentsia next, and they go after the veterans and police officers that are loyal to the old regime. That is happening now. This is this is all set up. They want to make me into a dissident. They will come and arrest me if you folks don't stand behind me. Now, what they've done is kill my ability to make money. They've killed my magazines. I've had magazines sold for $1 million, and I still retain 50% of it. And that was on Thursday. And Monday I walked into the office. I can't go through it, Clay. I can't go through it. This is what we're up against. We're up against these agencies, and they don't know. They don't know. Clay's anti-Semitic. You know, he's just anti-Semitic. Protocols of the Elders of Zion. That's a forgery. Don't you know that's a forgery? And that's what they have done. I've got all the links up on the story that I'm putting out. I've got all the links up. And folks, this is what is happening now. I need your support. You go to freeamerican.com. You tell people about this show. I'm telling you the truth about Israel. It doesn't mean that the Jew living next door to you is a bad guy. I'm not going to buy into that. I'm going to give them a chance to prove themselves that they're part of the wheat and not one of the tares. You know, it's a profile. I don't like bullies. I won't make the first swing. I won't start a fight, but I'll damn sure finish it. And that's where we're at right now, folks. Let me see. freeamerican.com. That's where you need to go, folks. And if you're going to vote for somebody, Jesus Christ, vote for Ron Paul. They don't want you to do that. That's your worst nightmare, that Ron Paul will get it. If everybody switched their vote to Ron Paul, we could overwhelm their vote rigging.
Call recording has been completed.
And freeamerican.com. With your help, I'll stay on. Without it, then there ain't nobody out there to fight for. If you're not going to support the people that are willing to fight for you, that are willing to stand up, that are willing to take the heat, that calling the shots about this Federal Reserve, this international banker, this Jewish scam called fractional reserve banking. If you don't want to oppose that, you want to just go along with it, well, enjoy your slavery. Enjoy your slavery. freeamerican.com and my number up on every website, freeamerican.com.